talking about all things digital products. So, today we're going to focus on building an audience for your digital product. Maybe about a week or so ago, I attended an event. This was an in person event, and I met a person that I had never met before. And we were talking about entrepreneurship, and she was telling me a little bit about her business, and she said that one of the biggest challenges that she had as an entrepreneur was attracting an audience. So I looked at her and I asked her a question. I asked her if she was creating an environment that made potential customers want to buy from her. Y'all, I wish you could have seen the look on her face. She looked at me like, "What you talking about, Willis?" I mean, she had no idea what I was talking about. So I said to her, "What is your pitch?" So she proceeded to tell me all about what she thought her business was about. And while she was describing it, I was like, I get it. I instantly figured out why she was having so much trouble attracting her audience. She told me a boatload of information about what she did, but she didn't tell me why she was doing it. So she wasn't really calling to anyone in particular. So, hey Andrea, how you doing? Thanks for joining. So she wasn't really calling to anybody in particular. She was just telling me about her. So remember last night when I was talking about the stories that you tell? It's really how you call to your audience. So if they can see themselves in some aspect of your journey, they're more likely to give you their attention so that they can get to know you, so that they can get to like you, and eventually so that they can start to trust you. So let's pretend that this new woman that I met last night, that she owns a burger joint. So she doesn't. She doesn't. But for the sake of this example, let's pretend that she does. So in my mind, here is how I heard it. Oh, Andrea, I'm glad you're doing good. I'm glad you're doing good. I'm so happy to see you here. You'll see me looking off to the side because I have my phone up here too so that I can see what's happening in the group in case anybody has any comments that they want to drop. So you'll see me look off to the side from time to time so that I can check the group. Um, but at any rate, I was talking about this person that I met, and we're gonna do like a little pretend scenario here, and we're pretending like she owns a burger joint because she had just told me about her business and how she was having trouble attracting her audience. So, in my mind, when she was talking to me about what she did, in my mind, I heard her say, I make hamburgers with real meat that I serve between two buns, topped with ketchup and mustard. Now, what she should have said was, "Girl, I make a burger that's going to change your whole life. When you sink your teeth into this signature mouth-watering masterpiece of thick, juicy beef patty, it's cooked to perfection, it's sizzling, it's got caramelized onions on the side, the bun is toasty on the edges, and it's real soft in the middle, and I got this special sauce that I sprinkle over the top." She is giving me a real picture of what this burger looks like, so much that I want it. I can see it, I can taste it, I can smell it in my mind's eye. So when you are attracting a customer with a digital product, you have to be very, very careful that you don't focus too heavily on the features. Because again, you're not calling to anybody. You're just announcing the fact that you sell hamburgers. And, maybe somebody cares about it. Maybe your mom does, but beyond your mom, I don't think that anybody else is really caring that you sell hamburgers. What makes them special? So, when you're creating your digital product, you want to lead with the payoff for your customer. Why? Because at the end of the day, all anybody really cares about is what's in it for me. And it's so funny because me and my husband were talking about this today. And I was like, wow, I cannot even believe that you just said that to me, because that's what I'm going to be saying to the women tonight. But it's so true. And I want you to know that when people are having this thought, it may not even be like a conscious thought, but I want you to note that this is not something that's selfish on their part. This is just human nature. It's kind of how we think, it's survival. What's in it for me? And based on your ikigai, being able to answer that question is going to help you do a few things. So, the first one being is it's going to help you decide who you can help. So, in this particular example, it's the hungry customer who wants the satisfying, juicy burger with all the fixings, right? I just realized that I used another food example. If you if you tuned in last night, you also saw me use an example of a vegan chef. So, gosh, I must be hungry, huh? I don't know what's going on with me and these food examples. But anyways, but last night, we talked about the vegan, right? When you're trying to decide who you can help, um, you want to call to the customer who wants a satisfying, juicy burger. You don't want to call to the vegan who wants the Thanksgiving meal. So these stories that you're coming up with that I talked to you about last night, these stories, which are also known as your messages, you're going to have to be crafting them to serve two purposes. So the first purpose is they are being crafted to attract your ideal customer. And the second thing is they're being crafted to repel those who are not your ideal customer, meaning they want to jettison the people who will never ever buy from you, right? Because if you're talking to them and they're never going to buy, what's the point? I don't want to sound callous about that, but you want to focus on, you know, coming up with messaging that's really going to hit your target audience, because these are the people that you are going to help. Some people, you can't help everybody. And so you want to make sure that you're getting better and better at focusing on the people that you actually can help. And if you're too focused on people that you can't, then you may miss the mark, right? So does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So next, you need to make sure that you're talking to an audience that's large enough or that's interested enough to be targeted by your messages. So, can you imagine? Again, here I go with the food example, but can you imagine being a vendor at a vegan convention trying to sell beef patties? It's a waste. Like I said, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, that product is not going to sell because you're targeting the wrong person at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong message. So, a great hack to sort of overcome this problem is to find somebody who already has the audience that you're calling to, and you just partner with them. So, when I started the Second Act Summit, I didn't know anybody, and worse still, nobody really knew me. So, I had to do some research and I started thinking through all the things that could help me make my event a success. Hey Kiva, how are you? It's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. So, I was talking about, when I started my Second Act Summit, I didn't know anybody, nobody knew me. So here I was trying to think about, how can I make this event successful? This was my very first event and it was all virtual and I just needed it to be successful. I just needed it to be successful. So, how could I do that? So, when I did my research, I found out that the number one thing when you're putting on an event, the number one thing that can make or break your event is your speaker lineup. So I had to find somebody who was going to be a dynamic speaker, could call people in, could call the right people in. And so I had to do my research. And so I had been following this woman for a long time. I probably had been following her by about 6 months by this time. Her name is Natasha Main. If you don't know her, go on Instagram and look at her and just get some life. Because I'm telling you, the way that she presents herself, it just, you can't help but smile. You can't help but smile. I mean, she's great. She calls herself the Vogue attorney and has these wonderful outfits, has these really uplifting messages every day that she gives to people. And I just liked her vibe. You know, I watched her for a full 6 months. She was fun, she was fashionable, you know, she knew her business. You know, she was this really great divorce attorney in South Florida, and she was in her 40s. And I had heard her talk about the fact that she wanted to launch a speaking business in addition to being an attorney. So, you know, that's what I say, no matter where you are in your life, in your business, in your career, you know, at this age, at this stage, you're always like thinking about the next thing. You're thinking about, what can I do? You know, what comes next? And a high powered attorney like Natasha Maine is no different. And she was thinking about the next thing. So she had talked about on her channel that she wanted to be a speaker. And so little old me, I was like, she wants to be a speaker. Well, so what did I do? I crafted my little note to her, my little pitch, and long story short, she said yes. At that time, she had a couple 100,000 followers, and she's got way more than that now. But to me, I was like, wow, a couple 100,000 followers? That's amazing. And so I sent it, prayed over it, sent it, and she said yes. And along with her came several hundred followers over to my platform. So that was an example of a partnership. You know, more so a joint venture, because there's a mutually beneficial kind of relationship there. You know, like I said, Natasha was stepping out as a speaker, and I had a platform where she could speak. So those two things, those two desires, those two needs really matched up. And I will give you a little secret here. If you are building your audience, so one of my audience building strategies that I have used for the 4 years that I've been in business is really to partner with accounts that are larger than mine, and sometimes they're not, but most of the time that they are. And you can borrow their audience and get the attention that you need for whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's an online event, whether it's a digital product, it doesn't matter. But there has to be something that is mutually beneficial for you and the joint venture partner. So, you know, some people, they don't really like partnering. I think it's because they really don't understand it, right? Because I've seen in the past where people say, "Oh, I don't like partnerships," and mostly it's because they're thinking about the fact that, oh, this person may be a competitor. They may be competing with me and taking my audience. Well, I think that's crazy. And I think that, you know, you shouldn't fall for this outdated BS, or what I like to call belief systems. It's just outdated. I mean, think about it. Why in the world do entertainers, singers in particular, do collaborations? Because it builds their audiences, it exposes them to new people. And it's mutually beneficial for both, especially if they're in a different genre and they're coming together. I mean, think about this collaboration that happened. I think it was back in the 80s, maybe. But it was between Aerosmith and Run DMC, and that song "Walk This Way." Do y'all remember that song? "Walk This Way," yeah. And it was between Aerosmith and Run DMC, and it was hugely successful because they each exposed the other to a completely new set of audience members, and it was amazing. So that's one way that you can call your audience to you. So you've made the decision about who you can help, right? You have selected the audience that you want to help, and You've made sure that it's an audience that's large enough to be targeted, right? So next, you need to make sure that your audience has a problem that they're willing to pay you to solve. So how do you find out? You ask them. That simple. You just ask them. So this dovetails into my next point, which is your audience needs to be findable on a platform. It doesn't matter what platform it's on, whether it's Facebook, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, or whatever the case may be, YouTube. So me in particular, I'm a member of lots of Facebook groups. And I'm sure that a lot of you are too. It's kind of embarrassing how many Facebook groups I'm a part of, but we won't talk about that. But there's one for women, one in particular, and it's for women over 50. And this group has over 400,000 women in it. It is a massive group. So every now and again, I'll go in and I'll post a question in the group. And a question would be something like, now that you're over 50, what is something you'd like more time to do in the second half of your life? Y'all, you would be shocked about how well this tactic works. People will tell you their life story. You know, that particular question, don't use that ever, because that was kind of a trash question. So you got to, put some effort into the question so that you can get some real good results. But I've gone in and I've done my research and I've asked this really pointed question that I want to know something about. And so people will drop comments. And this is an amazing place to start to mine data for ideas that you can use to create an amazing digital product. So this is going to help you really create something that people want, that people really want, instead of creating something that you think people might need. Those two things are different. And depending on where you are on the spectrum, you could be wrong. So you don't want to be out here creating stuff that nobody actually wants or will buy. So now that you've done all this work to find your audience, I think the next logical question is, how do you get them to go and buy your digital product? Well, it starts with an opt in funnel. Remember when I talked about how people will grab names and email addresses, how you need to do that for your list, always be growing your list? Well, this is where it happens. So, what is an opt in funnel? That's OPTIN, opt in funnel. So, an opt in funnel is basically another marketing strategy. And it's really designed to capture like potential customers' contact information, like their name and their email address, like we were talking about. And you do this in exchange for some sort of valuable resource or incentive, like a digital product, which can be either paid or it can be free. And that can include like an ebook, a guide, some sort of discount, tickets, whatever the case may be. Like I said yesterday, the possibilities are really infinite. So it typically consists of a series of steps, right? So you're starting with a landing page where users, like, a landing page is kind of like, if you don't have a website, you can go and you can create a free landing page where you can send people to. It's called Card. That's one of the resources. There's lots of others out there, but I've used Card before. It's CAARD or CARRD. I'm not sure which. I can't remember right now. But if you don't have a website, that's something that you can use to, create your initial landing page where people can opt into your funnel and find your product, right? Okay, so they've done that. And typically, once somebody puts their name and their information and all of that stuff into this like landing page, this opt-in page, they're taken to like a thank you page, or you can program it to give them a follow-up email. it really depends on what kind of like opt-in you have as to what you actually want to use. So you have options. So don't worry about all of this. It's all automated. So it's not like you have to sit there and like, oh, I wonder who's gonna do this today. I wonder who's gonna come in today. I wonder. You don't have to do all that. It's automated, and it does the work for you. So the funnel can also include like a lot of additional steps too, like a series of nurture emails. And basically, this is kind of like how you build relationships with people in your email list. And you tell them things every day and you talk to them about who you are. Again, this is all about, getting them to like, know, and trust you. So they call it nurturing, and sending a series of nurture emails, or you can send them upsells. Like I said yesterday, upsells, UPSELL, upsells, to related products. Once you sell your digital product, oh, by the way, if you bought this ebook, why don't you buy this workbook? So that's an example of an upsell that you can purchase. But these are kind of advanced strategies that you probably don't need to even be worried about right now, particularly if you don't have um, a digital product to sell right now. But I just thought that I would mention that and just kind of put that tickler in your head. But having an opt-in funnel is really crucial because it's going to allow you to build your targeted email list. And this is going to be like people who are potential buyers for you. Well, they will be buyers for you once they get on this list, but they'll continue to be a part of your world unless they jump off your list. So you have to continue to give them nurture emails. You have to continue to give them value. And this list is really a really amazingly powerful tool for offering future digital products. And it's also really crucial and important to help you communicate directly to some potential buyers as well. Again, it's all about nurturing, it's all about building. Always be building your list. Say it with me. Always be building your list. Okay? So, and this is going to really be beneficial to you because it will lead over time to increased conversions, and that's just basically increased sales. So, it's super important for you to pay attention to your email list once you start it. So, now borrowing audiences and doing partnerships, these are like two really great ways to get awareness and build an audience for your digital product. So yes, Kiva says always be building your list. That's right. Hey Nicole, how are you? Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate y'all. So yes, thank you, Kiva, for following instructions. Thank you, appreciate that. So these borrowing audiences, I gave you a really world example of how I did this with Natasha Maine and doing partnerships with Natasha Maine. These are two really great ways of getting awareness and building your audience quick, especially if you have a digital product. But what if you're just starting out? What if you don't have all that? What if you don't have a website? What if you don't have, all of your stuff in place? Well, I would say to you that an affiliate program can be a real game changer for you. So basically, an affiliate program is those people that you partnered with, you're going to give them an opportunity to earn from your digital product. So, how do you do that? Well, remember from yesterday, I talked about, an example of a $100 ebook. So, basically, if you have an affiliate partner, they're going to have like a link, an affiliate link, and maybe they have a Facebook page, maybe they have an Instagram, maybe they have a TikTok or whatever. And so they're sharing your ebook with their audience. And their audience could be made up of, 5 people. Who knows? But they may be 5 very engaged people who, go and do anything that this person says. So I say all that to say that don't discount people. If they want to help you, allow people to help you, right? So they have this link and they tell people, oh, by the way, I just found this great book. I've read this great ebook. You all have to get it. and you can get it through this affiliate link. So people click on the link, and the ebook gets magically delivered through the opt-in funnels and all the things that we just talked about. So what you do is you give them half, okay? Or if you don't want to give them half, give them some percentage of something that you feel comfortable with, but you're going to give them half or a percentage of every one of those products that they sell for you. So let's say that they help you sell 1,000 ebooks. That would be $100,000 for you. So they make 50,000, you make 50,000, and you have an extra 1,000 people who have come into your ecosystem, aka onto your email list, who have now given you permission because they opted into your product. They've given you permission to sell to them again and again. So to me, that looks like winning, right? So another great way to build your audience is to appear on podcasts. So you can do this, you can reach out to people, or sometimes people will reach out to you depending on what your messaging is, what platforms you're on. But every podcaster or every podcast that I've ever appeared on, the host has given me an opportunity to let their audience know about my offers. So sometimes I'll say, oh, I'm doing a summit, or I've got a digital product. Oh, I've got this course that I have for sale. So something, I'm always selling something, because why? I'm always building my list. See how that works? See how that works? All right. So lastly, I create calling content. Another great way to build your audience. So I talked a little bit about this last night, so I want to explain it a little bit more in detail to you. So what do I mean by calling content? Calling content is the kind of content that you're getting right now through this live session. Those of you that are on this live, and those of you that will, get this in the replay. So why are you watching this? Because something I've either said or something that you read in this group, it calls to a problem or a desire that you have. So you've come here looking for answers to the questions: what next, what now, and what else? So you'll see a lot of calling content on my Instagram page and also on my Facebook page. And one important thing for you to note too is that you don't have to always use your original content to call in your audience. Affirmations are a form of calling content too. I don't know if you knew that, but empowering quote posts from other influencers. I like Mel Robbins. I think she's great. And so from time to time, I will take some of her posts and then push it out via my stories, or I'll put it on my Facebook on Sister Lady Girl, because it's calling content and she serves a similar audience to mine. So Kiva says that she's watching because she's ready to jump into digital products. She's been dragging her feet on doing it. So she's getting a lot from these tips. So I'm really glad about that. I'm really glad to hear that, Kiva, that you are thinking about jumping into digital products, because from my vantage point, from my experience, you can't lose. It's a win-win. And it's easy. Once you create it, it's created, and you can keep using it over and over and over again. It's just a great option. But for audience growth, for income stream growth, it just has the potential for so many great things. So I'm really happy to see that you're considering using that. So again, like I said, you don't always have to use your own content to call in your audience. So I don't know if you know this, but I've done the research. That's one thing that I love to do. If you don't know about me, I love research. I don't know, I'm crazy like that. I'm just a nerd. But I know that women in midlife love affirmations. They love them. Listen, I have, let me show y'all something. this is me. I bought these. I'm a woman in midlife, and I have like a whole stack of affirmation cards that I bought because I love these things. I love them. You take them out, and every day it's like something. I think I gave these away too at the Second Act Summit the last time. But they're just wonderful. You know, you open them up and you have like this great saying, and it gives you some exercises to focus on. For the day. But anyways, I'm just like getting all lost in the affirmation cards, but I love them, and so do women in their 40s and 50s. And I know that you've seen it before. You know, have you ever just like seen something on social media like an affirmation or an empowerment post, and you said, it just hits you in the chest like, and you pick it up and you push it out on your own channel? Well, it's because it has called to you on some level. It connects with you. And so that's what I'm talking about. You know, this type of content you can use in your own on your own channel to build your audiences. Um, so after this live, I will give you some links. I'm going to give you links to this as well. This is by Alexandra L. And she's on Instagram as well. I love her page. She's like soothing. She has all of these wonderful sayings, and she's just really inspirational to me. But at any rate, I'm going to send you the link to her page because then you can go and buy affirmation cards. Now, I didn't know I was going to do that tonight, but if I had, y'all know what I would have done? I would have sent you to my affiliate link. See, there's an opportunity everywhere. So just like I'm doing this live and I'm talking about Alex L's cards and doing an affiliate link, think about doing that as well for yourselves because these are all opportunities for you. So I didn't talk about tonight how you can call audiences and build your audience through in-person events. But if that's something that you're interested in, let me know. And I can put together a training for that as well because I do think that, you know, connection, whether it's online or in person, is super important. And I love talking about how to network because it is science. You don't just go somewhere and run into people and instantly make a connection. Um, it's very you have to be very intentional if you want to establish long-term relationships with people, and it has to be reciprocal as well. So when you go into networking, especially when you go into networking that is in person, you have to know what the outcome is for you. You know, why are you there? Why are you going? So anyway, so I can talk about that. Just drop a comment and let me know if you are interested in that, and I can put that together. So for now, I want you to focus on tonight's homework, and that is going to be answering the 4 questions that I talked about earlier. So the first question is, who are you going to help? So I want you to select your audience. Be as specific as you possibly can, like demographics, like who is your audience? Is it male, female? Are they 20? Are they 30? Where do they live? What do they like to do? Who do they hang out with? All the things that typically you can find in your niche. That's what I want you to do. So that's the first question you're going to answer in tonight's homework. Who are you going to help? Question number 2 is that audience large enough to be targeted? So you'll have to answer that question. You know, it all depends on what you've got, what you're selling, as to whether it's large enough. Like I talked about my experience with my Second Act Summit and it having 500 registrations. That to me was research because it proved to me that there's a market there. If there are 500 women willing to sign up for an online event that's sight unseen, because the promise is we're going to help you get from here to there. If you're a woman over 40 who's looking for something new, I mean, that proved to me that there was a market there and it was large enough. So that's what I mean. You have to answer the question, is your audience large enough to be targeted? The third question is, does your audience have a problem that they'd be willing to pay you to solve? So this is where you're going to find out by asking them. And you don't necessarily have to go into a Facebook group like I did. Sometimes your target is living with you. Maybe it's somebody that you already know. Maybe it's a relative. You can just ask a question. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think about that? And then you ask two or three or four or five people that question. And then you start developing data. You start developing data points. You start getting that feedback. And then you start to understand more about what's going to work as a digital product versus what is not going to work as a digital product. Because again, you are solving a problem for them. Again, you have to think about it from the customer's perspective. What is in it for me is the question that they have, not from your perspective. What can I give them today? Nobody cares about that. Nobody. They want you to solve a problem for them. So I want you to keep that in mind. And the fourth and final question is, can you find this audience online? If you cannot, then what's the point of a digital product? If they're not online, you won't be successful. So you've got to figure out, are they on LinkedIn? Are they on, I started to say Snapchat. I don't know. I've never seen Snapchat in my whole life. I don't even know like what it looks like because I've never been on it. But anyway, TikTok. Are they on Facebook? Whatever they're on, you have to find this audience. And that's the platform that you concentrate on. A lot of people, they want to be everywhere and they want to do all things, all people. I'm telling you from personal experience, when you're all over the place like that, when you're trying to hold down, like be on TikTok and be on Instagram and be on LinkedIn and all these other places, it gets really tiring. It does. So I would say if this is new to you, focus on one platform where your audience is and master that platform. And then once you've mastered that platform, you can move on to the next one. Because if you're focused on all of these different things, you're never going to be able to truly master that and get successful at it. So Kiva had a question. The question was, what was the third homework question? The third homework question was, does this audience have a problem that they'd be willing to pay you to solve? Okay, I'm gonna go over the questions one more time. Number one is, who are you gonna help? Select your audience. Okay, number two, is that audience large enough to be targeted? Okay, number three, does your audience have a problem that they'd be willing to pay you to solve for them? Number four is, can you find the audience online? Okay, so all you need to do is like yes or no, and then which platform are you going to focus on? Where are they at? Okay, so I hope that's clear. And that was it for tonight, ladies. I thank you so much for tuning in. I saw a whole bunch of new faces today, a whole bunch of new names pop up. So I'm really happy that you guys tuned in. That's it for tonight. And tomorrow, let's see, what are we talking about tomorrow? You're going to tune in tomorrow, and we are going to be talking about, we're going to be on day 3, and we're going to talk about how to use your story to connect with people who are going to buy your digital product. So this is going to be a fun one. You know, I'm a writer, and I just love like storytelling. And so I am really excited to talk to you about that and how you can use your own personal story to get people to become part of your world. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Have a wonderful night.